And people forget, you know, how quickly things change. So, I mean, I go back 15 years ago and like in northern Queensland, you know, a boilermaker couldn't find a job, okay? And coal price was languishing at sort of $30 and all that sort of stuff like that. It's amazing how the world changes so quickly. And I think, you know, inherently, I think that you will see agriculture become one of the growth industries in Australia, okay? A lot of pressure at the moment because of the high Aussie dollar, so it makes our exports weaker, okay, and it provides opportunities to import, you know, more and more particularly high-end product, okay, but in some cases volume low-end product as well. But I think as you see the Aussie dollar recede back below parity, which I'm convinced it will do, okay, as the Northern Hemisphere economies improve, particularly in North America, then I think you'll see agriculture, you know, continue to go from strength to strength. And given that we're returning to a period of, you know, seasonal normality in terms of weather, etc., I think you'll see agriculture be very strong, and that's where we'll get the piece of the action.
As I mentioned just a while ago, Elders' heritage is inextricably linked with South Australia. So I think, you know, the colony started in 1836, and what, Elders in 1838 or 9.
Yeah, correct.
Not far apart. So as a result, through the eyes of Elders, you get a very strong view of what's happening in the South Australian economy. What are you seeing? How do you see South Australia in 2012?
I see South Australia in pretty good shape, actually. Look, I mean, I say openly, I think South Australia will benefit from the mining boom, okay, in its own way, in its own time, okay. I think the Olympic Dam expansion and the things that you see in Promy Hill and things like that, etc., you will see mining become a much stronger part of this state's economy. I mean, agriculture is still very, very strong in the state, and there's a lot of linkage between city and bush in South Australia, much more than I think you see in almost any other state in Australia. So everybody in Adelaide seems to have some connection to the bush in one shape, form or another. And so I have a very, very positive view around South Australia, and I think emerging industries, you know, like defence, etc., are going to be positive for the state just in the long term, etc. Manufacturing with the high Aussie dollar is a real struggle any part of Australia at the moment, but you know, we do produce half the country's wine. You know, we're a major grain growing state in Australia, and I think you'll see as the Aussie dollar comes back, that Aussie dollar is going to be very important to South Australia, just in terms of driving the wealth that is derived from, again, the production that comes out of the state. But I'm very positive about it, and I would hazard to say that in the future, on a per capita basis, you might see South Australia being the richest state in Australia, you know, on the back of Olympic Dam and all the existing industries that are here already.
It's an interesting, interesting forecast, given that I think it was today's report by ComSec, the state-by-state report, which said Western Australia first, daylight second.
Yes.
And then a couple of others, and then South Australia. But as you say, the high dollar is very much the key here, and that's linked to the United States. So really our fortunes kind of sit there, that what's good for the US will be, at the end of the day, good for us.
Yeah, I believe so. And I mean, that'll... I think the issue is that what you're seeing is the high dollar is driven by the fact that Australian is a very, very safe resting place for the money. You know, democracy is real democracy here. It's not driven by an AK-47. You're not going to see, you know, if the government is going to be turned over, it will be because the population goes to a vote, okay? We've got very strict governance and corporate governance and all of those things. It's a really safe place to invest. And you've got a very strong economy with robust interest rates, okay? So money will be here, but, you know, money follows where the opportunity is. And, you know, one of the things you learn in business, there's only two speeds, and one's driven by fear and one's driven by greed, okay? The reason why there's lots of money in Australia at the moment as people are fearful of other markets, but when the pendulum flops, and it will, then all that money, as much as it raced down here, it'll race in the other direction just as quickly.
Fear and greed, extraordinary things. Speaking of emotions, given all the things that have happened over the last few years, how's Malcolm Jackman holding up?
I've got a few more grey hairs on the way through, okay? And at times look, this has been a extremely challenging gig. There's no denying that in any shape or form, and you only need to ask anybody that's close to me as we've gone through. But, you know, some things in life are actually worth doing, and Elders is a brand that deserves to survive, okay? Been whipped within an inch of its life a couple of times in its career, okay? And, you know, when you've got such a powerful brand that resonates so well, not only in this state, as you well know, but also right through the bush in Australia, nobody would ever want to see the brand go away, and therefore it's something seriously worth. So that's what drives me, and I'm also, you know, I'm part of that mentality that, you know, that a general never leaves the battlefield till the battle's over, won or lost. So just walking away because it got too tough is just not in my vocabulary.
Malcolm Jackman, pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.